We're recording.
All right.
Good evening and welcome to the MSAD 60 School Board meeting of August 21st, 2025. Let's start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will start out by having our public input statement. The Vice Chair will read it.
Thank you. The first public input session is a 21-minute session with each person having no longer than 3 minutes in which to make a statement, but a second public input session may be held at the end of the meeting if allowed by the board chair. Each speaker will give his or her name, address, and reason for speaking. Public input is designated for district residents, but the board chair may grant non-residents the opportunity to address the board. Statements concerning subject matter that falls under the law regarding executive sessions, for example, matters involving personnel, cannot be made during public input. We, as a community, pledge to treat each other as we wish to be treated. We pledge to seek understanding when there may be disagreement. Regardless of outcomes or opinions, we pledge to move forward with respect. This is time for comments and/or questions for the board, but please be aware that questions may not be able to be answered at this meeting.
Thank you. So I turn to our public attendees and ask if there's anyone who has a statement they would like to read tonight. Okay, then moving on, we're going to take a look at the minutes of August 7th and update or approve. Does anyone have any comments?
Did get a couple of fixes and I took care of them already. So
Anyone else have any notations?
current minutes should be good. What did we fix? I had Melissa against the executive
Okay.
session, and I missed her on things, so she addressed that, and then the other one was
The other one was just abstaining from the July 3rd
and
minutes,
it
was
was
adjusting that vote.
it was just the language.
Yeah.
I fixed that. Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from August 7th.
We have a motion to accept the minutes of August 7th. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please. Anyone disapprove? Motion's been made and seconded and passed.
Before we do the business brief, number 5 is going to be put into a future business brief. So
Okay,
you can adjust the agenda that way, but we'll have to make a motion for that.
okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to do that now?
We
or-
can do it right after
Okay,
the business brief.
okay, so now we're going to have a business brief. Denise is going to update us on how we're doing.
Great, but today we're doing a little bit of training. I had a couple things I wanted to do. The first is, at the last meeting, we approved 2 leases. One was a bus lease.
Push your button.
Oh,
Thank you, dear.
I did that.
Yes.
Sorry, so let me start again. Last meeting, we approved 2 leases. One was a bus lease, 3 large buses, and was a lease. This week, as I'm working with the bank and the attorneys, they've come back and adjusted the percentage rate down a little bit because rates decreased. So we're gonna save, probably, I think it was a few $100s on each lease for each of the years that it exists. Probably total over the 3 to 5 years of $2,500. So not much, but a little. But I just wanted to inform you because the percentage rate again would be lower than what we talked about last time. The next thing I want to do is
Separate.
The first thing I wanted to review is I have revised our business brief syllabus, so the trainings we have set out. Last month, there was an item going over the EB 279, which is the revenue calculation by the state. And we bumped that, and we are going to bump that again to September. There are also two other revenue-related items that were listed for August that we're going to bump to September. They really probably would do better in a workshop setting rather than part of a regular meeting. And, we're just going to bump everything up to the next month. Which leaves us tonight talking about financial terms and definitions. The fund balance, what is fund balance? And budget process overview and timing. So I think I'd like to start with the financial terms and definitions. And it's long, but I'm trying to go over it fairly briefly, and you can read up on it. And if you have a question,
Hey, you should have that.
you should have it electronically. I emailed all the documents.
I have, yeah. There's extras for the audience if they'd like them.
I got it.
So we're going over right now financial terms and definitions. So we're doing some training for people, and this is kind of going forward, not assuming that people know everything, right? That about school business and finance and structure and everything. So I'm trying to give some nuts and bolts as well as some budget things that we'll see in the next few months. But the first part of this, the first page, the first half, reviews the different administrative structures that exist in the district. And I thought some of these things might help if you hear things in the news, if you hear people talking about things, some of these things you'll go, oh, okay, I think I saw that somewhere. So a school administrative unit is how they generally refer to the school districts in the state. The next 5 categories are the different structures that you can be. RSUs, regional school units, they pretty much were in communication with the state. They refer to every school district as an RSU, just in general terms. When they're telling you RSUs have to submit this or account for that, that's what they're talking about. A regional school unit is made up of more than 2 municipalities that pool their resources. And a lot of these were created back in 2008 when the state was trying to consolidate school districts and make fewer, bigger districts. If you were of a certain size, I think it was 2,500 students or more, which we are, you could remain a school administrative district in SAD, which is why we are still a school administrative district legally. They refer to us as both RSU 60 or MSAD 60. They're interchangeable at the state level. And again, it's 2 or more municipalities. Let's see, we are one of 52 in the state. Municipal school units, that's Sanford. It's where the school unit is part of the city or the town. One school, one city. They also have common union of towns and alternate organizational structures. And basically that's where they either share a superintendent, but everything else is separate, or they share some other administrative things and everything is separate. Those are mostly up north with fairly small towns. That's generally where you see those. The next page and a half are just general terms, alphabetical order that I came across that I thought might be relevant at some point. You have an annual operating budget. This is the financial plan. This is the budget we work on for months. And it outlines anticipated revenues and expenditures. An audit, it's an independent examination of our books and our processes and our internal controls. And it's required by the state to be conducted every year. You might hear the terms budget articles or warrant articles. These are the items that are voted on during our district budget meeting that we have in the theater. And they're 11, they're grouped together. And further on down in this document, I break out what they are, but they are the state requires these specific, or, summaries, regular instruction, special education, transportation. It's all dictated by the state. It's not something we decided. And so when you hear that, that's what it's referring to. A capital budget is generally for a separate budget that you might do for a major construction project, say. So years ago, when we were looking at trying to put additions on school buildings, that would have been a major construction budget, and we would have had probably a separate vote on it outside of the normal operating budget. A contingency fund, sorry. Money set aside in the operating budget to cover unexpected expenses or revenue shortfalls. We only have a couple. I think we have one in transportation and one in facilities, and those are generally for insurance deductibles. So if we had an event at a school and we had to pay $10,000 as our deductible, we have a couple of those budgeted just in case. Similarly, if we had a bus accident and had a deductible, we have those. We used to have more, but have, again, cut back on those. You're going to hear the term cost center. Basically, a cost center is a budget that is overseen by an administrator. It could be a school or it could be a department. So for example, Leanne is in charge of transportation and the transportation department and its budget. Mike A is a principal and is responsible for non-facilities related budget items, whether it's instructional supplies, furniture, staffing, all of those things. They fall under a cost center manager is what we call them. And that's so we don't always trip over roles, a principal, a director, or whatever. They're cost center managers when we're talking internally. All right, everybody good? Yeah. Cost per student. So you hear sometimes in the news, sometimes other places, people talking about cost per student. There is also something down lower that's per pupil expenditures. Per pupil expenditures are calculated by the state of Maine. They take submitted financial information that we're required to upload, and they do calculations on that. And they include and exclude different things. It depends on the specific number you're looking at. So it's confusing for people because some people will say, oh, well, what does this include? What does that include? And it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. So I think the cost per student is more similar to the document we handed around during the budget, which compared our district to other local districts in cost per student spending. Sometimes, for example, you don't want to include transportation because if you're comparing yourself to a city who has fewer buses and fewer miles to travel, it's not exactly apples and apples. But there are, we can dig into that later when we are there. The next two things are the two parts of the district budget process that are extremely important. The first one is the district budget meeting. It's an annual public meeting held in May in our theater. It's required of all Maine school districts. And the people who attend that meeting vote on the dollar amount that the budget will be. So the board comes up with a budget for each of these articles. And the voters come in and say, yes, we agree with that number, or no, we want to increase it or decrease it. But whatever the group there decides is what is voted on during the next one, which is the district budget referendum. The referendum is the in-person, go to your town hall or your vote or your polling place and place your vote. Do you want to approve the budget that we just talked about? So those are the two important parts after we settle what the budget is. You may see the term encumbrance. Encumbrance means we haven't physically laid out the money yet, but we've spent it. So there's a purchase order out there and we're waiting for the supplies to arrive. So in reporting, we consider it spent so we don't overspend. But you'll see that on reports, the monthly board report that we got, you'll see that. We are required to submit all kinds of financial reports to the state. And just, there's a lot of them, and they're not just financial. We have to do staff reporting, enrollment reporting, all kinds of things, but there are many. The state website, you could spend years up there looking at what you need to do. Our fiscal year, 12-month period that runs July 1st to June 30 each year. Different than the calendar year. You'll hear the term general fund. We are required to keep track of expenses, basically by different funding sources. So for example, every grant we get, we have a separate fund, which is how we track them. We track the revenue and match the expenses. The general fund is our operating budget. So it's all those revenues that we look at when we're doing our budget, and it's all the expenses, and that's the general fund. And that's, when you hear that, that's what it means, the operating budget that's not grant related. We have a Maine School Accounting Handbook. This is an official guide that we have to follow. So all of the account numbers I use are dictated to me. They're, again, not something I choose. They're something I follow, a process. And that is my guide. You will hear something called maintenance of effort regarding special education, which is how we use it right now. We are, in order to receive our federal special education funds, we have to maintain a certain level of spending locally. So we can't say, oh, great, we're getting federal money, we'll cut back on what we spend locally. They require us to maintain a level to get those extra funds. We're getting close, we really are. We're in W's. Warrants. So this is an important part of your job. You are in charge of our organization, and the warrants are reports that get generated twice a month for payroll and once a month for accounts payable. We send these reports to you. They detail out either who we paid and how much, or what bills we paid and what that cost and what that was. So those are the things that we're going to send to you electronically for you to review. Once you're good with whatever's there, electronically sign it, and you've done your job for that period. And again, that's part of keeping our business running, right? The oversight of that. And then withdrawal process. Last spring, I think I heard chatter. So I figured I would include this, even though I hope it's not a thing. Withdrawal process is the process by which a town seeks to separate itself from the school youth district. And so there's a very large, big process with that. But I figured I would just put this on here so that you know what that is. Okay. These are revenue sources and considerations. So all of these terms are revenue related. Essential programs and services, known as EPS, is the state's funding formula. And they take into account student counts, staff to student ratios, costs for transportation and gifted and talented and all of these things. And they put things through the formula, determine how much money they have to spend. And that's how we are assessed or allocated, I guess, our funding for each budget year. We'll go into more detail on that at a later time. And general purpose aid, GPA, is really what people refer to as state subsidy. What's the bottom line of what we're getting? They take that EPS model, which is how much should it, how much are we going to be able to fund? What are we going to require the district to pay? And whatever the difference is how much they give us. And that's what that number is. You'll hear about 55% state funding for school districts. That's a topic that comes up and we've heard it. By Maine's constitutional requirement passed in 2004, the state needs to cover 55% of K-12 education costs as determined by that formula EPS up above. But 55% isn't per district. It's for the state as a whole, they cover 55%. So we have some districts who don't qualify for as much money. And like in York, for example, they get a minimum amount, but maybe we get more. So the 55% is intended to be across the district, not per district. We have federal funding in grants. We have ESEA, which are for disadvantaged students, improvement of instruction for teacher quality. These are your titles. So you'll hear Title I, Title II. That's under the ESEA. And we also have another acronym, IDEA. That is a special education federal funding. And we take in a lot of money for that. And then we also have school nutrition, which is considered a federal program as well. Okay. I haven't talked this much back to back in a long time.
Take a drink.
If you have any questions, just interrupt. But E-rate program, it's a federal program that provides discounts for telecommunications, internet, equipment for the technology group, firewalls, things like that. It's competitive. You have to apply, and it's just a discount. It's not a free service or a free, 100% grant. A mill rate or a tax rate is $1 per thousand of assessed value. You'll see that when we go through the EPS formula, and it determines how much they're expecting people to pay. And then we have a board member who likes to ask for an estimate for our towns when we're nearing the end of our budget cycle, just to give people a ballpark. We have a cost sharing method, meaning how do the 3 towns share the costs? And it's made up of student enrollment and valuations in the town. The state valuation, which is in that EPS formula, is not something that matches with the town's valuation. So you can't say that this is what town of Berwick values my house at. Why are we paying so much more? It's the town as a whole. And those, again, vary year to year, and we have no control over what that number is. And then we have other revenue that we see, sports fees, tuition from students attending from away, and bankages. Those are general. Okay. I'm not going to go through in detail this page 4. The expenditure categories are what type of expenses: salaries, benefits, purchase contracted services and supplies. That's how those are split out. The state required budget categories are by common function, I guess I would say. Regular instruction, special ed, transportation, facilities, they're more split like that. So again, we'll see those different things as we go through the budget process this year. And as you look at it, they tell you different things, and we'll go through some of that.
Helpful. Thank you. That's very helpful.
There's one final page. It's on fund balance. And this is always so difficult to explain, but I keep trying and I can't wait for that day when you guys tell me I got it. So, fund balance. So the difference between our assets and our liabilities is our fund balance. And it is the district's savings or reserves since it started in 1967 to whatever the measurement date is, say June 30. That is, when we say fund balance, those are our reserves that we have saved money in various budgets to various amounts over the years, over the 58 years we've been in business. There are different kinds of fund balance. Some you can spend, some you can't. Because it's not cash, it's other things like prepaid expenses or inventory. You can't spend them, but they're considered part of your fund balance. And you'll see that when the auditor presents every year, she talks about fund balance and then they're spendable and unallocated and assigned. School districts establish their own target fund balance. But the state has a current limit starting with fiscal 26 of 5%, which is approximately for us $2.5 million. As perspective, that is approximately a month of payroll and nothing else. So our reserves are not, even if we were at that level, which we're not, it's not a very high bar, for sure. And then we use fund balance to sometimes reduce the impact of taxpayers for the budget, but that's not best practice. Best practice is to spend this money on one-time purchases. So if we need to go and buy a pickup truck, then spending the money on that pickup truck is the way, because the following year, we don't have to pay for the pickup truck again. If you put it towards somebody's salary who continues to be employed, great, you have the fund balance one year, but what if you don't have it the next year? You dig yourself we dig yourself a hole that you have to fill. You have to find funding somewhere else. So in fiscal 26, we stepped back from using fund balance as a revenue source to reduce taxes. Partly, we needed to keep what we had because we don't have enough buffer. It helps us with cash flow, so that, we have expenses really heavy in the summer, our summer projects and supplies for schools and everything. We have a big outlay in the summer, but we get all of our revenue in 12 equal payments. So we really need that fund balance to make our cash flow work. Okay. I know that was a lot. I have only one more thing.
Good reference though. We go back to it over and over. Vocabulary for the year, you guys.
So that maybe
Be a test.
in a budget book or, something else.
I love that this is hole punch.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
We lost the whole punch in the office during our move recently, but I think we found it.
Apparently, yeah.
The only other document I'm going to hand out is a budget timeline by month. And this is a very high level overview of the budget process. In October, we kick off the budget year. We have a meeting with administrators. We set goals. We review basic budgeting guidelines and how we want to do things. In November, we are in the process of finalizing first draft budgets, meeting with the central office, Sue, Audra, and I to really comb through the details. Did you remember this? Did we have all elementary schools considering this? Looking at enrollments and staffing and all those things. We finished that up in December. And by the end of December, we are hopefully finalizing some numbers and final quotes. The month of January takes me 4 to 6 weeks to take all of these documents go through them, make sure they're entered in the financial software, and then it matches the Excel that we distribute to you all. Takes about a month. But I work very closely with Mary Ellen Bourbon, our payroll manager, to finalize. She's responsible for making sure all of the salaries and benefits are accounted for properly. It's a big job. And then we continue editing as other things pop up. In early February, the state of Maine tells us how much money we're getting. We have about 2 weeks to work and determine what the budget total is for the first draft. How much money are we getting? Where does that leave us? And then we meet with all cost center managers to talk through, okay, where can we do things more efficiently? Where can we find some savings? You know, what ideas do we have this year to make ourselves more efficient? And then also in February, the budget books are prepared. Usually we have an all-day budget workshop first weekend in March. Has been the first and the second the last couple of years. I don't know how it will fall coming forward. And then in March, we have board meetings every week to talk through the big nuts. What are we for? What are we not for? What would you like more information on? Those sorts of things. Because in early April, board has to finalize the budget. So it's an extremely quick process. It's quick for us to like gather all these details and present them in a format that's consumable. And then it's a really quick turnaround for you guys to talk through questions, more information. You know, do you want to have a deeper discussion about a topic? Those kinds of things. Because the April date to finalize the district budget is firm, because once you finalize, it's a legal process. We have to have so many days to post information in the text. We have so many days to get the budget book together. We have sent things to the printer, getting ready for the meeting. So it really even gets quicker after that budget approval. Then, as I mentioned, in May, we have the district budget meeting to determine number, and the referendum where we say, yes, we approve whatever they voted on today. And again, that's very high level, but it gives a sense that we all know we feel right during that time of the year. You'll feel rushed. You'll feel like you don't have enough time, and we understand because we are in the same boat.
Denise, a couple of board members have expressed the desire to get involved in the budget process earlier. Is there a good way for us to do that?
My answer is I'm not sure. It depends. Like I think we've had some conversations about facilities, right? How do we want facilities to go? I think in the coming months it's on our list. So I think that may be a good area. Beyond that, it's, you know, I take the office, you know, the central office supply budget of $2,000 and I make sure it's in there. And I don't know on a granular level that there's much, because really what we're trying to do is take all of these millions of pieces, again, put them together in a product that you can absorb. And that's how we try to go by cost center and kind of do it more bite by bite. Let me think about that some more.
Okay, thank you.
No, you wait for the states. Does the state, do you ever predict what the state's going to do, or is the state unpredictable?
So it's unpredictable in the valuations, which are huge, a huge component, are determined by the state. And I haven't yet found a place where I could go and say, what are they going to do? They also determine the mill rate that applies to what the towns are going to pay. So they come up with $30 million and they say the towns have to pay 18 million. That mill rate that they determine very late is a big determining factor. I will say this past budget cycle, they tried at the state level to give us more information earlier, But I would basically have to recreate that 279, that 6-page calculation. Sometimes they change like student staff ratios.
You're really handcuffed to the state's
It's-
number. and-
It's, you know, I could come up with a working estimate maybe, but those key things could drastically change. So we could be working on
Double
something, and give
working,
somebody
yeah.
false hope, and then they come back and it's less, like that
Double
would be
working and
heartbreaking.
stuff.
So let me see what I can do about what we can maybe have conversations for, you know, again, facilities comes to mind. And we're going to take a closer look at that this year too.
I think that that was the impetus for some of these workshops, to get ahead of the budget cycle. So like those terms, we have those terms now. So some of it is this ongoing workshop piece that we're doing right now.
Right. Future meetings, for example, where I'm going to try to go into the transportation budget and kind of show you what we look at, what we have included, so that when the real one comes, you've got at least a preliminary idea of what's there, and maybe that will help. Because again, it's not just for new board members, it's a lot of information and it's a lot to absorb. And again, in a very compressed window. So we'll keep that in mind as we go.
I think we're gonna save like so much time, like you said, during the meetings where we were talking about like just terminology and
Yep.
stuff, like we'll just be able to jump right in. So I thank you again for doing this.
It's good when somebody else has an eye on it, right? Like I can go and I can tell you how much, you know, what's exactly in the supply budget for this category and that category. Like I get into the minutia, but it's good to have others with another set of eyes. That's for sure.
Do you know the May meeting date by any chance?
The May.
The big one?
I'm usually on top. Let me see if I have it in my computer, because what we do at this time of year is we reserve that date.
Right.
And we changed it. We made it earlier so that absentee voters, so that their ballots can be counted, because they have that. 3 weeks or whatever it is before.
You have the 21st.
Let me go back. And again,
What was it this year? Do you remember?
what's that?
Early.
May
Zero.
8th.
It was May
It
8th?
is May 8th. So maybe May 9th.
No, the 7th, the 7th is
It's a leap year.
Oh, it
the
was-
7th is a Thursday. Or the 14th. Or we did it on a Thursday, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I would say the 7th to the 14th is what we're looking at. Which puts you away from Memorial Day. Which I totally get.
I just want to get on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Sorry, it was very dry.
And yes, it was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to adjust the agenda and move the school building and facilities discussion to a future meeting. So if we could have a motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor of moving the school building facilities discussion to a future meeting, please raise your hand. Okay. And the motion's been made and seconded and passed. And now we look for employment.
Sure. We do have a couple of pieces of employment. We have a resignation, but I would like to start with providing an update for the Mary Hart Academy.
Oh, good.
And that's not on this list, but we would like to talk a little bit about that. As you know, we had a interview process and we went through all of that. And since that time, we are still looking for a candidate, but we have a kind of a proposal and a solution that we would like to talk about. So we've invited Melissa Adams here tonight again to come up and just provide an update on what we are planning to do.
Sunglasses, because it was bright when I walked in, so. Can't see us. So as Audra mentioned, we did go through a round of interviews. we did not end that process with having a successful candidate to bring forward. And so in the, school starts next week, sort of problem solving, what are we going to do? I've had a conversation with my IEP coordinator, Sam Grace, who is also certified as an assistant special education director. Sam and I have been working closely with Nicole Bothwell over the summer on plans for Mary Hurd and sort of how we're going to manage getting through the next days, weeks, months, as we get into the school year. So what we are proposing is having Sam take over the administrative portion of Mary Hurd that halftime. While she continues to do some of the IEP coordination, she'll be pulling a bit of double duty between Mary Hurd and doing the IEP coordinator role, which is a teacher contract role within the high school, with Nicole Bothwell and I also supporting her work over there. The nice thing is Sam has been through it with us last year. She's being an internal person. She knows the system. She knows the things in play. I think last time I was up here, I said to you guys, there's a lot of work in onboarding someone new to the role, new to the district. Nicole and I anticipated taking pieces of that on this year. Anyway, I think it's shifting a tiny bit the pieces Nicole and I may be taking on, because if we move forward with Sam taking that interim position, she does have a lot of knowledge of our systems and our processes and how we work.
Anybody have any questions?
Sam's in the room, if anybody wants to, she's back there. She can wave if you have any questions.
And I can give you a little background on Sam if you just have to shout if I say something wrong. So, Sam has been a special education teacher in our district for 11 years. 12. Okay. She's been up here at the high school for that time. She took on the IEP coordinator role last year at the middle school and high school level. Before coming to Noble, Sam was working in the Sanford School District, was a part of their bridge program, which is very similar to what Mary Hurd is here with an alternative programming. Did a lot of work with them getting their program up and running off the ground in its early days, and brings that knowledge over to us here. She is incredibly competent and organized. I am a little sad that we are splitting her up a little bit because she's such a fantastic IEP coordinator. But I also think that Sam is ready to step up into this, and I'll speak for you and say excited. I think it's a really good opportunity.
It's a pretty broad span of control, though, for one person.
Say more about that.
Yeah, tell me what you mean.
Well, an IEP coordinator would be a full-time position normally.
So what we've done is looked at that. So Sam, before this proposal, her IEP coordinator responsibilities were broader. So part of this means that Marina Sampson, our other IEP coordinator, will be taking on an additional grade level, and that Nicole and I will be splitting a grade level. So it's stretching the special education team. And there's no question about that. It is. But I think it also gives us a way to have the needs of the high school, Mary Hurd, and the other needs in the district met. We'll be tired by November, but
Yeah.
okay, because I think we're a well-oiled machine. I have to say, only having the team together for this past year, we collaborate really well, we communicate really well, and we've worked really hard on making sure our communication and decision-making process is well aligned. So it's a big lift. There's no doubt. It is a big lift for Sam and for the rest of the special ed admin team. But this isn't a proposal we've got into.
And that's just so last year my role was full-time IEP coordinator. That's a good actual question. think somebody. So last year I did all of the middle school, the high school, and by the, and this year I'll just be doing this building, the high school building. And we coordinate our IEP meetings for the high school on Mondays and Tuesdays. So, for a variety of reasons. So I know that if I'm going to have an IEP meeting that's for the high school, it's gonna be on a Monday or Tuesday, unless there's, a random one or whatever. So, and we've already made, like, Melissa's gonna be her day at MHA this year's gonna be Mondays, and Nicole's is gonna be Tuesdays, and I'm gonna still, since luckily, we stayed with the virtual model for IEP meetings, so unless a parent requests in person, it's virtual anyway, so it, like last year, sometimes I would have meetings for Lebanon Elementary, but I would be here in this building. So I feel confident that even though I'm gonna have meetings for Noble High School, even if I'm over at MHA doing some work over there and I have to step out for an hour annual, I'll be right back. So I think it will work out fine. But I am the type of person that if I think at any point, the one thing that if I'm gonna do a job, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And if I think for 1 minute that something is not, the IEP coordination role is not getting the attention that it deserves or whatever, we go to Melissa and say, hey, I think we need to move something around. But my priority for this school year will be over at MHA, those days, and doing this role's best.
I have a lot of confidence in this team, but I don't want to burn you out either.
So we appreciate that, but we start school next week.
Right,
And
right.
so this is an interim kind of a solution. Sam actually is the one who stepped up and said, I'd be willing to do this if this makes sense for you guys.
And there's other things, like I'm a safety care trainer, so, I probably won't be, we have a couple other safety care trainers in the district, so that's something that I won't. There's other duties that I did consistently as a whole, they're kind of more minor, but they all add up, that will be kind of, looked at as they come up, and, I'm not gonna be able to go to Husky for a day and train, do the safety care. Sure, that's just not gonna, it's not gonna fit in my schedule. Will I be able to do it for the MHA, the research for MHA? Yes, so.
So if we already have the budget for an administrator at Mary Herd and we're not gonna be filling that right away, would it be easier to find a candidate for a part-time coordinator? And then we could just do that for the next 6 months? I mean, at the very least, if you're thinking this could potentially be something where we're moving into this as her full-time position next year, or at some point, I mean, if you have the training, the qualifications, and we promote from within, which sounds like was one of the biggest concerns, is all the training we would have to do to catch them up. So instead of losing this first half a year with having you be stretched so thin, could we get a part-timer in?
So I think, Ally, part of our concern, it takes even to go through the interview, background check, reference check, all of those pieces takes some time. And end of last week is when we went, okay, we need a different plan from when I was here last time talking to you guys. And so there is a chance that we start school next week. We've combed through the IEP calendar the month of September. We've looked at all of our needs up through end of September, mid-October, gone, okay, we're okay. We can make this work. That doesn't mean that we don't say, all right, now that school's really in session, yes, we should be looking, we should be hiring. I think we're trying to say, we're trying to prioritize what we're doing right now.
And I'm fully supportive, of you. You sound like you're a perfect candidate for this. It's just in that interim. If we have the money,
Well, and I think that that's something that Melissa has thought about in terms of even just looking at case management and part-time IEP coordinator, because you're right, the funding is there. So how do we?
This is a really hard time of year to hire.
Yeah.
Because people have made their school year
Decisions already, yeah.
So I think one of the things we're going to continually assess is do we have a candidate from within that we might be able to, being an IEP coordinator can be a good stretch for somebody who wants to dip their toes into the administrative side of things or who wants to get a little bit of different experience. So we could, I think, very well either have somebody from within that we train and tap into. We could get going in this and go, you know what? We're good. Like, we're actually doing okay. But I think until we start doing it, it's hard to make that prediction. And the fact that it's Thursday and staff is here Monday, it does put us a bit.
I guess my point in saying this is that I am full, if you were to find someone, I wouldn't be looking at this like, oh, we saved a bunch of money. Yay. We don't need that. I would be like fully supportive for a part-time. So that's just my point. If it is helpful to you.
I appreciate it. And the good thing about our meetings, our IEP meetings, we schedule, like, our administrative assistant schedules things, like, I already have the annuals on my calendar for February and March. So I already know. I already have it, it's already been made handled that. So, and I've been working, we as the department have been working for a couple of years, and it's finally paying off that we look at our annuals and triennials that we call them for the month of September and the beginning of October. And we push them to the end of this previous school year. Then it makes more sense for a lot of reasons. So September is a really, it's not a heavy month, it's a heavy lift month for meetings. So I think it's really, it will be good for me to be over there anyway. Like, I was probably going, even if we were to find somebody, I would probably be over there anyway, helping and stuff like that. So I feel really good about it right now. And like I said, it could change. Like, we could be coming back in a month or 6 or 8 weeks and being like, there's a lot over there and we need to kind of shift.
Or it could be a situation where we say, wow, we have a candidate. I think, so we recognize that how it looks at this moment in our plan could change.
Is there any possibility that we could get job descriptions of these two positions? Just because it's got to come back up again. And my heart goes out to you. I think this is about the only thing we can do, obviously. And you sound like you really kind of have it under control. I think it's stretching everybody to a max, but I think people can rise to the occasion. We've done it before. We'll continue to do it. So it's what you do in special ed. It's the way it is. But I would like to know what these positions look like. So next time when it comes up, we'll have a better understanding of what we're talking about.
Nancy, are you asking about the job description for MHA and for IEP coordinator?
I'm just curious. I don't,
No,
not
we can
familiar with it.
that, yeah.
So,
And part of the flexible position over at MHA is doing the IEP coordinating for MHA, so it's kind of like it's hard, they kind of go together, you know what I mean? So
I think that's a shift, because last
Right.
time, we talked about taking on that increased
Right.
responsibility with a new candidate coming in, but the fact that Sam has all the training
oh
experience.
yeah, to me, this seems like it's kind of other than the fact it puts everybody else under a bit of a strain to double up on some of their jobs. It sounds like it'll work out a lot better. But who does the out of district IEP meetings?
I didn't-
I'm the ones that come in to marry her. Do you do?
So,
you do?
Yeah.
So any students that transfer into our district from out of state, Nicole Bothwell, the assistant director, and I manage all of those. If students are transferring in from within state, then it's dependent on the IEP calendar and availability. Any student in an out of district placement, I chair those meetings, and any students who are coming into Mary Herd, we have 2 students right now tuitioned into Mary Herd. We split between the NHA director and
I'm
myself.
just curious.
Right. And of course, the out of district school sends somebody as well because
Right.
they're representing.
And I assume that our out of districts, because we have a few, we must have to travel to.
Yeah, I think a lot of remotes are happening there too.
There's a lot that are remote. We have some students that are fairly far away, so we do those all remote.
Yeah.
And then we have some students that are in the same program. And so we schedule those IEP meetings back to back, and I camped in one of those programs for an afternoon.
I just, I'm done. But I would love to see the job descriptions. Sure. We can get them.
Thank you so much for thinking creatively and stepping up for the added responsibilities.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions.
Really quickly.
You're on. You're on.
Maybe you should go.
You're on. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Aaron.
Sorry. The original posting, and if I missed this information, I'm really sorry. The original posting was an administrator, part-time, and then part-time educator. Where's the educator piece coming in? Did I miss that?
So I think, so that comes into some of the IEP coordinator piece. So having Sam in the building, the intention was we would have somebody who could do the administrative part and then help oversee just some of the day-to-day if we need classroom coverage, if we need, you know, people to jump in here or there. So Sam being based out of the building will fill that role. And then having Nicole and I there on the days that high school IEP meetings are happening as a backup for, you know, if we need to jump in someplace.
Okay, yes, I just want to echo what's been said of like, I have no concerns about the capability of you amazing humans. I have concerns about the load being taken on by an employee of this district. I think that's a lot, even though you guys are taking it on, and that's like so admirable and amazing. And I am proud that we have you guys here to do that. That says a lot about your character, so that's awesome, but that does definitely make me nervous. And then I guess like a process question, because it's interim, is the job still posted?
It is still.
The job is still posted. This is interim until hope if we can fill or whatnot. If this becomes the going forward solution, do we do like a typical like interview, like vote?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
ask this question.
It's just.
And then my question was similar, and I guess I'm not sure about the answer. It was a teacher leader. So where's the teacher portion of this? Like, who is teaching that class that we just lost a teacher for?
We didn't lose a teacher from teaching a class. So this is the.
You
did.
structure
You did.
of the goes is we have 3 special education teachers. They teach all day. We have 3 ed techs who support students in the program. So the MHA administrator / lead teacher, that teacher portion of that is the person who, if a staff member goes home sick, they're jumping in. If a staff member is out for the day or dealing with a behavior and we need the room covered, they're jumping in. So it's not somebody who has a prescribed teaching schedule. It's that person who can also jump in to that teaching role as needed, as that happens. So Sam, not having IEPs Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, can jump into that role and do that as we need to. On Mondays and Tuesdays with Nicole and I there, we're all teacher administrator certified and can sort of make those in the moment, who's jumping into an IEP, who's jumping into a classroom situation if needed.
You talk about Chris Jones's position.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Oh. Guys, there's a lot going on. I am.
So we do have the resignation of Chris Jones that we'll talk about at the resignation part, but this does impact, I think that to
That's
your.
what I'm-
Yeah.
yeah, asking.
That's probably your
Yes.
concern. So, we do have a plan for, it's now the appropriate, you guys will have to stop me if it's
No,
not.
yeah.
We do have, a plan for fulfilling that 3rd teacher role that's currently open. We have an amazing ed tech up here at the high school who has been working very hard on completing her teacher certification. And I have been talking to her this week and sort of going through the process of doing some interviews with her and, you know, sort of talking to the high school administrators and doing that sort of background check process. And Jen, her name is Jen Pennington, is going to be our dedicated math teacher at MHA, fulfilling that sort of classroom special education teacher role. So we have 2 people that we're hoping to move into those positions.
And then because they're changing contracts, do we need to go through like the official?
Jen will be nominated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we don't, for Sam, it's because it's an interim, we don't need to have a formal motion now. Because we're keeping those, we're keeping the advertisements out. We're going to interview if we have candidates. We'll go through that whole process.
Okay. Thank you.
Learned tonight through our business cost center. Who manages if the administrator runs the cost center, how does that work
And MHA?
at MHA.
Melissa, yeah.
Oh, you do wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. That is.
So just to clarify then, on the other part, stamps will be part-time administrator and a part-time teacher. So it'd just be salary compensation is what we're talking about. So, which is what it was originally, was
Yes.
a part-time administrator, part-time,
Correct.
whatever. So,
And Nancy, the MHA budget's always been under the special education budget umbrella. And so, you know,
You-
even last year
yeah.
with Josie, it was a lot of.
I'm just curious because, I mean, we just learned that tonight.
Like that choosing your learning.
Oh, well, you know. Quick question. Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to come back and talk to you guys in a month, like how it's going.
Right, that was gonna be my
Yeah.
question. Would the board feel good having just an update in about 4 weeks?
Let's see if we have big
I was
bags.
gonna say, just make sure.
Do you have any hair left?
I want to miss that.
Gray it is.
But I have worked with this population, as Melissa said, program in Sanford that I was one of like the founding members of it. So we created, and a lot of the point systems, like if you've ever, come through our built MHA and the point systems and all that, while they're pretty much the same that I'm familiar with, that I've worked with. So like, I feel confident that, at least there's a lot of things I don't know. I'm not, say that, but at least I have a handle on those types of things and the kids' systems. And I know a lot of the kids. I case manage some of them that are over there, so they'll be familiar faces, they'll know me. So I think, this is probably the best case scenario at this, late date in August. Even if there was like a brand new person, they would have, I kind of have that advantage. I know that the staff are already over there, most of them. So we'll come back. I'll come back, or maybe I'll invite you guys to me.
Any other questions or comments? Again, thank you for the stretch and
Good luck.
take care of yourselves.
So we'll just talk about the 2 resignations and then we have some new hires. So like, this has been a work in progress. So some of this has not been on the agenda, on the category of employment. So we do have the resignation of Chris Jones, special education teacher at Mary Hurd Academy. He did receive the assistant principal position at Marshwood High School. And that is the resignation that we have. So we need a motion and a second to accept that on Chris Jones.
I make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second it.
A motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor of accepting Chris's resignation? All those opposed? And the motion is passed with regrets.
The next one is Mark LaFond. He has taught social studies social studies and a few other things here in the district for the last 15 years. He started at Hussey School as Title I Ed Tech and then taught in Lebanon for a bit and ended up at Noble Middle School. He did resign. He received a position in Kennebunk.
Do we have a motion to accept Mark Lafont's resignation?
Make a motion to accept Mark LaFond's resignation. I'll second it.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor of accepting? Opposed? And the motion's been made and seconded and passed.
Okay, so we have 2 new hires that we're bringing forward for approval.
Before you,
Sorry.
a quick question. Do we have to, at this late date, do we have to accept, or can we keep them on the payroll until we hire somebody new?
You can enforce the contract, which gives you 60 days, I believe.
50?
Yeah, but it's,
I know we don't.
No, we have certainly done it a couple of weeks while we get somebody in place. We do have somebody that we're nominating.
No, I just was curious because I know.
It's interesting because our teacher's contract does not have what some other language in other contracts say. Like some of them say you can't do this after July 15th.
You don't have
We
that?
don't have it. No, so that's That's our challenge, right?
Oh.
So we'll go to new hires now. So if this will make some sense. So we are nominating Nicole Gleason for the second grade position in North Berwick. We talked last time at our board meeting about the fact that we had some move-ins and we had some at the second grade level. And then we had some students who were tentatively scheduled to move out of the district, but they are still here. So we needed to add a section of second grade. So Nicole Gleason last year was our literacy coach part-time, and her position was a ref. So it was one of the three that we talked about, you know, in that last meeting in June. And she is a great candidate for this fit. This is a great fit for her. So that's the nomination for Nicole Gleason for second grade in North Berwick.
So do we have a motion to accept the nomination and approve?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the hiring of Nicole Gleason. All those in favor? All those opposed? And the motion's been made and seconded and passed.
Okay, the next one is we are nominating Jessica Silverman for the sixth grade social studies position. That was vacated by Mark LaFond. Jessica spent 11 years teaching English language arts at Noble Middle School, and she had taken a leave of absence a few years ago and then tendered her resignation just for family. And she is in a position now that she's ready to come back to teach. And so she interviewed for this position, and we're very excited that she is, you know, ready to come back for social studies.
Great.
So that is for that social studies position. So Jessica Silverman.
So do we have a motion to approve the hiring of Jessica Silverman?
Make the motion.
Good.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed?
Okay,
And
the
motion
next
passed.
one, we're gonna go with Jen Pennington. So, as Melissa just spoke about a little bit, that would be, Jen would be taking the Chris Jones teaching position over at MHA. So she's been working here in the high school for some time. She's, you know, right at the very end stage of her certification for teaching, and very strong references, very strong working relationship with Samantha Grace. Yeah, 12 years. So we are very confident that this is going to be a good step for MHA. So we just need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of Jen Pennington?
Okay, great. And that's it for employment. So as of right now,
Mhm.
all teaching positions are filled.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And we
Bravo.
have about, how many ed techs?
I'm sorry, I was still reading my, sorry.
We have a few ed techs positions still to hire.
We are officially, we still have 3 openings, but we're in progress for, I believe, all 3 in various stages of like reference checks and those kind of things.
So think
And
about
that's
that for a minute.
tremendous. That is
Like,
tremendous.
we've had 10 and 12 and 15 openings over the past 4 years, so.
Yeah, I will say Nicole Bonko and I have been interviewing around the clock for the month of August. And we have excellent, ed techs with really great background and experience coming in.
So moving on to the superintendent update.
Okay, so a few updates. Let's see. Before I forget, Lauren had asked if we could look at the January meeting dates. Because I think the first meeting is
The first, which is yeah.
January 1st. So I guess the proposal is, could we move the meeting to the 2nd and 4th instead of the 1st and the 3rd? That does not impact any timeline for our budget process or anything like that, but I think there's something going on the 3rd Thursday.
Yeah.
The 3rd
Third
Thursday, there's a district, one of the schools already has something scheduled.
Yes.
So the proposal is to go the 2nd and the 4th.
So it'd be the 18th and the 22nd
18th.
instead of the first, which wouldn't be enough. Sorry, the 8th and the 22nd.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 8th and the 22nd.
22nd.
It's a Sunday.
Three
I'm not
o'clock, I
coming.
So we just want to get that on. Does that work right now?
Oh geez, I don't know.
I'm sure.
I get to my calendar next.
Okay.
Well, we don't even have school on the 1st.
Right. So it would only be one meeting unless we did something. Do we need a motion?
I think we do. I think we'll
I'll make a motion that we reschedule the January board meetings to be on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays, being January 8th and January 22nd in 2026.
We need to actually do that under other, because you're not supposed to make
Oh,
motions
yes.
under superintendent update.
I
I'm sorry.
have that on my list for other anyway, so.
That's my only. Sorry, that's just we can just go back to it.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I withdraw my motion.
That's right.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Well, you're thinking about that. If the February vacation interferes with the 4th or the 3rd Thursday, whenever that meeting is, can we reschedule that one so we're not getting behind like we did last year where we had no meetings from practically from November until budget season?
Or we can look at that.
Just, get those meetings in. And then, of course, snow days.
No snow days.
Are you looking at the February? We'll talk about that at.
February is
I
President's
just
Week.
don't even know when the vacation was, but I was just talking about last year. We missed it because of vacation.
So a few other items. The first one, from the last meeting we had, we talked about, seeing some of the, more student-focused data, not just the data overview, but each student individually. And we said that we needed to talk with, our technology department about the data, just making sure about privacy and student privacy. So we have talked earlier this week with Bridget about data and data privacy. We will be able to extrapolate some of the information that we're looking for, but we really want to get school open first. We've got 2,000 pieces of technology that just came in. We're still, up and running. We're still trying to open the building. So I think that will happen either at the first or the second meeting in September. We'll have that information for all the board members for that. So I just wanted to follow up on that. The other thing is that we encourage you to visit the schools, but just a reminder, when you go through that process, if you're not a school employee, so if you're a community member going into a school or service workers that are going into the schools, we do ask for notice. So sending an email to the central office and asking, and then we can help with the planning and the scheduling of that through the school itself. So we talked a little bit about that, but that's just a reminder about that. And then along those lines, I was going to verbally read to you the open house schedule, which is coming right up. And then there's a lot. So we've got pre-K, we've got, 7 and 8, and we've got all that.
Thank you.
There we go. So I typed it out so you have that because it's coming right up. Some of them, and I know that it's helpful information. It would be helpful if I shared it.
Sure.
Right.
Peg, I'll send you a picture of it.
The other thing at the bottom of this about the policies, when we had Connor was here doing our workshop, we talked about policies, and this is the website to get the policies.
Thank you, because I looked it up and I realized we couldn't because we had to go through the MSS.
Right.
Thanks.
And so that's the webpage and then the password. And I'm not releasing that just because this is for board members and for school administrators that have this code. The code may change, but they're going to let us know when it changes. So we will be able to provide that information for you. So those are those updates. And then just wanted to talk a little bit about the policy committee. We worked on the policy committee. Last year, we ran the code of conduct and the policy committee. So we tried to kind of offset those. In talking with Kate, I think it's the second meeting of the second Thursday of the month for the policy committee works. And we typically try to have that happen prior to the board meeting.
Right.
So probably try to schedule that in September, the second September meeting. We'll start that schedule of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anybody is interested in being on the policy committee, why don't you drop Audra and Sue and I a note?
Yes, good.
And they'll start at 6 usually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kate, are we changing? So with the changing of the board, do we assume we're not on it unless we're reappointed to it?
I think
Yeah,
that's what I would
that's
say.
a
I
good-
think if you're interested, yes. And there in one of our policies, it does say that the chair does kind of give the okay for those members, you know, because we want everything balanced. We don't want, you know, a lot of board members on certain committees. And last year, like Nancy Newbert did do that to make sure that like we had a busy time because we had the, you know, all the, yes, the contract negotiations. So Nancy kind of just went through and said, okay, yes, yes, you know, everything looks good
Sure.
and balanced. So Kate will do that again this year. So,
I'm willing
So-
to stay on, Kate, unless you have too many people.
okay,
Okay, good.
all right. Thank you. And I believe that is all the superintendent's update. Thank
Super,
you.
thank you.
Mhm.
And at this point, we're at other. Anybody has any other topics they'd like to introduce?
Do you want me to go first just to continue the, sorry. Sorry, Nancy. Okay, I would like to make a motion that the January board meetings be held the second and fourth Thursday instead of the first and third Thursdays, which dates were the 8th and 22nd, January 2026.
That.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? The motion has been made and passed.
I would like to discuss that the February 2nd board meeting is during school vacation week. And if we wanted to make a motion to move it to either the 12th or the 26th. Is the 26th better for central office as far as getting budget books to us at that meeting?
I think so.
Later's always better.
Yep.
To get that done, yeah.
I make a motion, does that?
Denise, does that sound good for you? The 26th,
Move the 19th to the 26th meeting.
so the budget books for that night.
I think the only issue would be, that off the top of my head would be agenda going out the week of school vacation.
We can get that out. We can get it out before.
Yeah, we know
Yes,
that's for.
yeah. We've done that a few times, so.
We'll be working to do the budget books, but it would just need to be light on.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay.
I guess move the meeting to then in hopes that it's available. So I will make a motion to move the February 19th, 2026 board meeting to the following week, which is February 26th, 2026.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? And the motion's been made and passed.
Okay.
These were just general things that I don't know have a solution to, things I just wanted to mention. I know it's been hot. We've had a very hot summer, and so it's been very hot in the buildings. Currently, the next week at least looks nice. I know we often do have a September heat wave, so just if buildings do get really hot, like, do we have alternative plans, especially knowing we have different ages of kids now in different places, and so it can affect things a little more. I just want to toss that out there. And then I was asking you guys this before, but I do want to say it in case people are watching this, the recording to confirm if every single child in this district is planned to be on a bus route. And if your child is not taking the bus, people should reach out to transportation to say, you don't need to put my child on your route. Yes. Okay. Because I do. And I know, obviously we just learned at the last meeting, we're down 6 drivers and things are not looking as fabulous as we had hoped. But I do know there were comments about like hour-and-a-half bus routes and things. So I think like, and any parent any parent guardian who's able to reach out to say, I'm all set for transportation and can save a few minutes, I think will help some of those times not look.
Yep. So one of the other things is that bus right so all of the routes have been released. So when Bus Right was working through the routes, they set a default of 25 miles per hour. So some of the routes are longer because so if you see like a 2-hour route, it's not a 2-hour route. So what the drivers have been doing is they have been going through stop by stop and recording all of that data. And then Leanne is taking it and overriding the bus right system to put in the correct times and the correct amount of time that whole route is. But that is manual work.
Incredible. that they-
And that I have to say about Leanne is that she has had not one day off. And we are talking 14, 18 hours a day.
Yeah, she's working
And
so hard.
so that's a legitimate statement.
Yeah.
I would
Huge
say.
thank you to her
Yep.
and the team. Yeah.
And it's
No.
hard. I mean, we're down, like we said, down 6 drivers. We have, we're two flex drivers short too as well. Hopefully some of our medical stuff will get cleared. And then Leanne will be driving the first day. Jeremiah, who is.
He's our fleet.
Yep,
fleet
he will
director,
be
he's
driving.
Yep.
Yep, our assistant mechanic will be driving, so.
Do we have anything in place where we are in this kind of crucial hiring junction? Do we have anything in place to like a $200 sign-on bonus, or is that something we could consider?
We do have, trying to think, we do have that. Did we take that out of the, I think we took that out. I think it wasn't in this last negotiation.
Yeah. So we can certainly do something to promote. It's just really getting people into, it's a high need position across the country. There's just not a lot of, people just they're not stepping up for it.
But
It's a hard one.
not only that, but the state is very slow
Yeah.
with getting appointments and getting to take the test, and
Yeah.
it's just taking a very long time.
How long does the CDL training, is that what it's
Mhm,
called?
mhm.
How long does that typically take?
It depends on
It depends on the individual,
Yeah.
to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because some people are much more able to move through the
Mm.
pieces quicker than others. They'll, as quickly as Leanne can train, she will train somebody.
Yeah.
But if they need more time, more practice, more, to pass the tests and do those things,
Hmm.
everybody's kind of individualized that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just the last thing I was going to say is, things have been gearing up at the schools, and there were at least 3 popsicles with PTO and principals this week that I attended, and it's just nice to see administrators out and happy and ready for school, and families coming out, and North Berwick's tonight was huge. A lot of families came out to that, so that's all.
I know, and we've made mention of it, at least I've continued to tell people, don't panic, because this is going to take some time to work out. It's crazy stuff. But I did hear, and I didn't, that somebody said that they were walking to a bus drop over in Lebanon. Is that something new? I know that there's we can walk to bus stops, but they said they were walking on Shapley Road, and I was just wondering if we know anything about that. I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to answer the question, but it was a concern. We saw it because nobody should be walking on Shapley Road.
It's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. There's no edge to the road, and it's winding, and they'll take you out. I mean, they took out the geese.
Mhm.
I don't care. So I'm just saying, I was concerned when I saw that, and I thought, and I think that they were having trouble getting through to the on the email. So just something, because not everybody knows the charming roads that we have out here in these little towns, and they can be quite
We'll find out.
safer than Shapley Road.
Parents just need to reach out when that link is fixed.
And did it kick back
It
to you?
didn't kick back for me, so maybe it's been fixed.
Could try
Because
again.
it was not it did, I don't know where it went. It didn't come back to me though.
I know one year they had my son walking a half a mile to a bus route on Hubbard Road, and we just reached out and they're like, yeah, that's crazy. So I think they're usually accommodating.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of people not aware, and, and I might be, it might be just a parent that doesn't have to walk. There's also a little community there, so if it's that where it is, I don't know, I just wanted to ask.
Thank you.
So I have other thought. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
This is my other. I wrote it.
Okay.
I'd like to propose that the board adopt a protocol for how and when board members are given the floor during our meetings. As a teacher, it was essential to have some control over who could speak and when. In the early grades, I've heard that some teachers use a talking stick or some other object to let young students know when they may speak and when they must listen. Although we work on the board in an educational organization, we have no such measures in place to allow for a systematic way to get the floor. While I don't feel we need to resort to a talking stick, I think we do need to establish a procedure such as raising hands again to be recognized and trust the chair to make sure anyone who requests the floor is provided an opportunity to speak in a timely fashion. In other words, no more grabbing the floor while another member waits politely to be recognized by the chair, and no more talking over a member when that member has the floor. Is that something we could talk about and address, a protocol? We have the Robert's rules. Raising the hand and being recognized by the board is part of it. So I don't think we have to have a policy because we already have the policy. It's just adopting or being more careful about that, having a protocol. What do you think, guys?
Oh, who had their hand up first?
I'll apologize because being new to this type of environment, I'm used to going back and forth in my work environment, and we don't raise our hands when we go back and forth in our environment. So if I haven't raised my hand to get a permission to speak, I apologize because I'm just not used to having to do that being out of the school. So I'll apologize that. So
I'm not looking for an apology.
No, I'm just saying,
It's
I'll be better at raising my hand because I think I have been.
We don't have a raising hand policy or protocol.
I
That's
thought
what
we
I'm
did.
saying. No, we don't.
I'm just thinking about your board norms and maybe it's part of your norms, but just in terms of that. Have them memorized.
No, I was just gonna say that I think all the boards I've worked on, one thing I have loved is just the conversational piece of it instead of the like, and I agree, nobody should be cutting people off and talking over people. But I think that there's a lot of collaboration that can occur when it's a more conversational format than specifically raising your hands for each thing. My 2 cents. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I do agree we shouldn't cut each other off or talk over.
So your board norms are that the first ones, we will deal respectfully with each other. We will stand for our decisions. Our work together will be time-bound, focused, valuable, and evidence-based. We will work to continuously model professional collaboration. We will rely on and trust each other. Communication will be timely, taken with positive intentionality and focused. We will demonstrate value for each other, and we will be fully engaged in meetings, which are wonderful norms. And I guess the question is, how do we represent those in a way that is supportive of all? So I think one of the things that might be important is to figure out how to note when somebody's like, Nancy, you had your hand up a little bit.
A little bit. Let me rephrase that for you. It goes up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but you were like, it's the question of like, how do you know who put their hand up first? And so I think a piece of it is just being aware for each other and trying to like really, that respectful piece, right? I think this is our opportunity to like put the good foot forward and make some changes about how we deal with each other. And that, I think it'd be great. Yes.
As one being talked over several times, we really should be following Robert's rules. And if I have the floor, I have the floor. If I ask somebody a question, I expect that they would answer back or that they would respond when I was finished. But it is disrespectful to be talking over someone when they do have the floor. So personally, we should be following Robert's rules.
Any other thoughts? Do you think we need to be more formal than raising hands or just making a gentle person's agreement to be kinder and more courteous?
I honestly I thought last year we adopted the hand raising policy at the beginning of the year. And I thought that's what we used, because I think we did have like a meeting where Nancy had started calling us by our, you know, by our hand raising. I don't know why I thought that. So I like that because as far as like, I know for me, when something pops in my head, I'll like do a quick like hand raise and hope that the chair sees, but then I don't want to have my hand raised while someone's like talking.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of times then like you'll put your hand down and maybe someone else will raise their hand and they won't realize that your hand was up first. So I think just having like the chair be very actively engaged in that process and noting kind of like, okay, this person put their hand up, I'm going to make sure to reach out to them first, can really like help with that. And I think Nancy did a great job of that last year. And yeah, I'm sure you'll do a great job this year. As far as the not talking over, I think, yeah, I don't know, once conversations get going, I would hope we would all at least let everyone like finish what they're saying, I would assume.
Thank you. I think this does a nice job.
Mm.
I mean, when we put this on, it really lets you know that we're waiting to speak. And I think that, and I mean, I know that when I was a teacher, I mean, raising my hand and expecting people to raise their hand is just part of my makeup. It doesn't have to be a raising of the hand. I'm perfectly willing to do a talking stick. Pass it around. I mean, but I'm just saying, no, I'm kidding. But I think that we have not been, I don't think anybody's been out to undercut or undermine anybody. I think it's just get excited. I've done it. I mean, I jump in and interrupt because, oh, I got something really important to say. But I think we need to have some kind of systematic way that everybody has an opportunity, especially those of us who are raising our hands and I can't jump in and interrupt somebody most of the time because it just wasn't my nature. Till I get mad and then I can do it.
I'll make a confession here too. I'm deaf in this ear, so I tend to favor this side of the room. So I will make it a
Moving.
concerted effort to, because I do a little lip reading to be able to hear people. So I will make a concerted effort to scan the room and not automatically go where it's comfortable for me to hear.
I don't
Yes,
think,
ma'am.
I don't think that it's completely reasonable to expect you to be able to do that. So I think that we need to help each other. Like, I don't think it's reasonable that you have to, yes, I would, we need to defer to you as the chair, but Peg as the vice chair, if she's in the room, she should monitoring each other and making sure that people are all getting their time is not just your job. I think it's a whole board's job to help each other out with that. I think that's fair. So. And that way you guys can pay attention. You guys can pay attention to this side to make sure that Kate's seeing. Yeah. But Robert's rules works, so.
Would just personally like to see something a little bit more formalized rather than just the jumping in, because I remember when I first was on the board, I raised my hand and was told, we don't do that. And it's like, I can't break myself with a habit of raising my hand. It's just, it is. But if we're more informal, like you said, but I just, you know, I feel like we need something. There were 9 people, 9? No, thank you. And I think that makes it something. I doesn't have to, we can even bring it back up. I don't care. I just think we ought to be thinking about how we're doing that. Look at me, look at her.
I'm just checking to see if you're done. Okay, I'm going to change the subject. So, as I'm looking at the open house schedule, I've tried to hit as many open houses as I possibly can. There are 4
Yes.
on the same night. So, I'm sure they're trying to streamline, but that would make it really hard as a board member to hit the other schools.
I think my response to that would be, I don't think we can change it this late, but I think we can look at it moving ahead for next year to spread it out a little differently.
I should have brought it up last year.
Okay.
Because there were a lot that happened on the
There were.
same night, yeah.
It's hard. There's not a lot of like to get the open houses in, there's not a lot of time frame to do that without it being
And I
problematic.
think this, sorry, sir.
It's okay.
I think this is harder because we're trying to get some in before we really start
Mhm.
because of the shifts in schools.
Sure.
But I take that point. I'll put it on the calendar so that we can have a chat about that at the administrative level to make sure we're a little more spread out. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm not sure who was first, but I think you were, Melissa.
It's just really quick. You said hard for a school board member, which is true, but also especially with the reconfiguration, if you have many children, trying to get to the different schools, if they're all on the same night, is super challenging. So I think that's another good reason to relook at that for next year.
It looks like they did it. It looks like they did a really good job of not overlapping the schools. I was just scanning it real quickly, but somebody did a really nice job there. Hanson and Knowlton are on the kindergarten.
Oh, sure.
Three are on different nights than the Knowlton and different nights than the other two. So that's kind of nice because last year we had schools. So that's, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that, I don't know if this helps Jerry, but a couple of the overlapping dates, like pre-K is one night, but then kindergarten through grade 3 is a different night. So without having a child in those grades, I think as a board member, you're probably gonna, I'm guessing we would see similar things if we went to pre-K night or if we went the K to 3 night. So it might make it a little easier to split some of those up, where you could do 2 on one of them and 2 on the other, if all of them in one day aren't. Just a thought, I don't know, just something I noticed.
Okay, so back to, do we make a decision? Do we cover about Robert's rules and raising our hands? Do we feel like we've closed that issue or resolved that? Or I just want to make sure that we all understand that we have a go forward. Do we have a go forward?
I feel good about it.
Are we continuing in our informal, formal way? Is that what the plan is right now? We're being more aware of who wants what. So if Melissa has her light on, then she probably wants to talk.
I like that system.
Yeah.
Much better than sitting here with my hand raised.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I feel like it makes the people talking feel like they have to rush because I have something to say. If I keep my hand raised, so like if the light's on,
yeah,
in a minute,
as long as you shut your light off when you're done
did I
talking.
not turn it off? It's been on all night.
I think, and I agree with you,
Still
Melissa.
on?
It does kind of, it feels like a rush, that you're in a rush if one or more people, especially as a hand raised, and I will commit to helping with watching for those lights, and making sure people get their opportunity.
That's
As long as you try.
No, we're not raising hands. We're doing lights. We're just right.
Yes, ma'am.
I think sometimes it depends on what we're talking about too, as to how carefully we have to monitor who's talking when, because obviously in a casual conversation like this, it really is not a big deal. But when it starts to get a little bit more involved or heated or impassioned or whatever word you want to use, that's when we have to really maybe be a little bit more careful about how we become impassioned. So.
Well, thank you both for speaking up and bringing up your concerns. I think, are we okay? Are we,
I'm okay.
okay.
I'm okay.
Any other? I'm scanning. All right then. Do we have any public input for the close of the meeting?
Chelsea Northbrook. I just want to piggyback off Warren a little bit and ask a clarification. If we take and remove our child off from the bus routes and there's an emergency and they need to go home, does that now, they're not going to be en route at all?
Great question.
I'm gonna say, when I was a principal, if there was an emergency, I would put a student on the bus. If we could not get a parent, or if it was an emergent, like, if it was a major catastrophe or something, the plan would be to put them on the bus. If the parent couldn't get in, if we couldn't have parents come to the school, we would make it happen. Like, that's what I would say. Like, if it's,
How the high school happened in November.
Yes.
We're just putting
Yes.
kids on buses.
I don't think throwing, I think it was a, but I think it was a very concerted effort about how to get them home.
Yeah. I just want to like, because I do pick up my kids, but like, if there is emergency, like,
Want them to be able to.
yeah. take them
Yes.
home.
Yes. Yep.
So, okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's a good point.
Thank you. Okay,
Make a motion, to adjourn.
I'll second it.
this has been made to adjourn and seconded. All those in favor? Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay, drive carefully coming home tomorrow.
Thank you. I will.
48.